Hey guys, so recently I bought a property and I put the property into a LLC, and then I went to change over my insurance for LLC, and the insurance for my property, since it's in an LLC, was an extra $600 a year. I went from a $600 premium to a $1,200 premium, all because I have my property in an LLC. So this got me thinking, like, how are home insurance prices going to impact real estate investors or impact anyone owning a home? In fact, recently, over the past just couple years, insurance prices have increased by 19% throughout the country. And so David and I have an article that we want to discuss and highlight a few things that they found and kind of dive into why this is happening and then how it can impact you, and then maybe some ways that you might be able to avoid paying those super high premiums. David, what did you think initially about the article?
Well, it makes sense, although the areas where the insurance cost had gone up, the cities where the insurance cost went up significantly, was surprising to me. There were some that weren't surprising, but then there was other areas where I thought, my goodness, the cost of insurance has to be going up in these areas, and they weren't on the list. So I'm excited to sort of go through the list and share it with the listeners because I was surprised by it.
Yeah, so I mean, we have a recent video on how climate change can impact real estate and your decisions. And I think that kind of can go hand in hand with um, this discussion. So if you haven't listened to that video, I'd go listen to that as well. But just some key findings that were in this article are that the between 2018 and 2023, like I said, home insurance premiums have increased by 19.1%, which is quite a bit. And then as everyone knows, there's been so many natural events happening. Like we just had the big fire in Maui, and insurance, like people keep pulling out their insurance and doing insurance claims. And so this has led to 98.9 billion in insurance losses, and that was just in 2022. So you got to think that that's going to increase in 2023. And the insurance companies, they're just not making money. Like they're well, as much money, right? They're charging a premium for a year is about $1,000. So essentially any insurance claim is probably going to be like 50 grand minimum most of the time, right? And think about how many years you would have to pay for insurance for that to kind of pay off for the insurance companies. And so I can see why they're going to have to raise their rates, especially with all these natural catastrophes happening all over the world. But at the same time, like I like paying low premiums. So, um, yeah. David, what do you think?
Well, I was surprised to see that the homeowners insurance rates went up on average only 2.8% in 2023 across the United States. And that was down from 4.9% on average in 2022. So here we are, only down 2.8% in 2023. Now, granted, we're only a little over halfway through the year, so maybe there's more to come. But insurance rates increased by, on average, 2.8% up to this point this year, whereas last year it was 4.9. What was surprising to me is the massive increase over the period of 2018 through 2023. The
Mm-hmm.
states with the biggest increase, which this makes sense to me, Florida, 41%. South Dakota, I don't really understand. I don't spend any time in South Dakota. Never, actually, I'm not even sure that I've ever been there. But South Dakota was up 36%, Arizona up 35%. So Florida and Arizona, we talked about last week on the show about
Mm-hmm.
how, climate change has had an impact on those areas. Wyoming only up slightly, 0.8%. Those are the areas where it rose the least, was Wyoming, Alaska, and Vermont, all, under 2% basically. But Florida, South Dakota, and Arizona, all above 35%, with Florida at 41%. So that's the increase over a period of what, roughly 5 years. Um,
Yep.
but that percentage of increase seems to be declining. So it makes me wonder if if the increase in insurance rates have been found, or the large increase has taken place and now they're sort of leveling off as the market has cooled down. Um, Anyways, it's interesting to see that things have started to slow down as far as the increase is concerned.
Yeah, and I was talking to someone who owns a home in Florida about their insurance prices. And 2 years ago, they were saying their insurance was at $600 a year, and then it raised to $1,800 a year, and then now next year it's $2,600 a year. And
Goodness
so,
gracious.
yeah, I mean, and it kind of goes hand in hand with climate. Like states with the worst climates or the most unpredictable climates are probably going to have the steepest increases in insurance prices because there's more likelihood that something's going to happen where you're having to um, do an insurance claim. South Dakota, I'm not sure what goes on there. I kind of think of that as kind of like a fairly safe state, but it is interesting to see that on the high increase rate. Maybe their rates were just really low to start. I do think, though, I mean, just like anything, insurance prices are going to increase probably around 3% year over year. Like that's most likely going to happen as costs go up, um, inflation continues. So I think that's an important factor to keep in mind is insurance costs naturally are going to go up with everything else. But in the past 10 years, we've had kind of the same rates for a while. And then the insurance companies are trying to catch up because they're realizing that they want to make more money. Getting an insurance premium for $1,000 a year to me seems like a really good deal. Like to me, that seems like a great deal because if I have to do one insurance claim over the next 50 years, I'm probably saving money. So it's like how are the insurance companies, home insurance companies making enough money? It like to
Yeah.
me, it doesn't pencil out.
Yeah, well, they're making a bet, right? They're making a bet that the premiums are going to cover and exceed the cost of those claims, and clearly they possibly have made some bad bets in certain locations, and that's why the premiums have gone up so dramatically in Florida. Again, I don't know why South Dakota is an issue. The article doesn't really dive into that, and Arizona being so high. The article did say, had this line in there: what most people assume is that homeowners insurance premiums are tied to the rising value of homes. And while this is true, especially now, the one factor really impacting homeowners insurance premiums is the worsening frequency of extreme weather events. And they noted that there was 119 extreme weather events, natural catastrophes in 2022 that led to the $98 billion insured loss. So, yeah, I can see why the insurance companies are making these adjustments, especially in those markets that we've discovered. But still, curious about South Dakota. If anybody in YouTube land knows why the insurance premiums in South Dakota are going up so high, let us know. I'm interested.
Yeah, so I mean, I think this kind of goes hand in hand with what we talked about last week. If you are an out of state investor, if you're investing in areas other than where you currently are, kind of start thinking about this because I do think it can have, a big impact, especially long term. And also, like, think about just ways that you can decrease your premium costs. So, David, do you think we should dive into a few of those ways?
I think we can if you'd like. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, first, obviously, just talk to a few different, I would say try to talk to at least three insurance companies. And me, myself, I am very bad at just signing everything without really reading it. But especially with home insurance, I would really make sure that you understand it and, talk to them and make sure that you know what you're getting into. And then the biggest thing that I've kind of came across recently is raising your deductible will decrease your home insurance by almost half most of the time. So if you increase, most of the time it's $1,000 deductible. If you increase your deductible to $5,000 or $7,500, then your insurance premium usually is cut in half. And so, like David said, it's kind of like betting, if like when you're going to have to use that. So, I mean, if you have insurance for 10 years and you have to get an insurance claim and they pay you $50,000, you only have to put 5,000 versus the one, you have to do 5,000 versus the 1,000, but then you saved however much over the 10 years. So that is something that a lot of people don't think about. But it's probably the easiest way to lower your premiums.
Before we end, Jocelyn, I'm curious, do you know why your premium went up so dramatically just by moving the rental property into the LLC?
I think it would have to do with the fact that maybe they view that as like an investment property versus like a primary residence. Um, is my guess, because a lot of the
Even
insurance
though even
companies.
though before you moved it into the LLC, it was a rental property before, correct?
Yeah, yes, but it was under my name. So I
Sure.
moved the property into the LLC. The insurance company found out and they're like, "Oh, sorry, this is going to raise." Um, and I mean, commercial, this is kind of a different topic, but commercial insurance is raising a ton as well. And so, um, I think just by having it in a business, it gives me more protection. But at the same time, maybe it takes away some of the protection from the
Insurance side of
insurance
things.
companies. Is That would be my guess. I think my other guess would just be that it's just a way to get some more money.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's another thing. If anyone's investing in like syndications where the operators are investing in other markets across the country, like buying, if you have an operator that's buying on a coastal market or in Texas, especially in Houston, we just bought a property in Houston and the insurance went up dramatically from what we had expected. And so that was a surprise to us that we needed to adjust for. So those are things to consider, even if you're passively investing in some of these deals, let alone if you're investing yourself in these markets in rental properties. So something to consider for sure.
Yeah, and honestly, in my opinion, I think that insurance costs are going to continue to rise dramatically over the next few years, just because we are facing a lot of uncertainty, and there are a lot of natural catastrophes happening in all different areas of the world. And so I do foresee these continuing to grow over the next few years, and just be aware that that is a possibility when you're doing your numbers on some of these properties. Do you have anything else to add, David?
No, I think we covered it.
That's it for today. For more daily investing tips and real estate secrets, don't forget to visit breakfreerealestate.com and make sure to like, subscribe, and share our podcast. We will see you tomorrow.